The door at 47 Maple Street was already open, not wide, just enough to notice. I stood on the sidewalk with the note folded small in my fist, sweat cold on my spine despite the summer air. Midnight had come and gone. No lights inside, no sound, the kind of silence that presses back when you listen to it. I stepped in anyway. The floorboard near the entrance sighed under my weight. Old house, cheap repairs. Someone had tried to make it feel warm once. Curtains too thin, furniture arranged for appearances, not comfort. "Hello?" I said, then hated myself for saying it. No answer. I followed the hallway toward the back. My pulse stayed even. That scared me more than panic would have. I had rehearsed this moment in my head since the grocery store. The stranger's eyes, the way he never looked at my face, just my hands, as if that's where the truth would land. Your daughter is not okay. I passed a bedroom, empty, another, locked. At the end of the hall, a light leaked from under a door. Warm, domestic, wrong. I placed my hand on the knob and stopped. In that pause, everything rushed back. Her voice on the phone weeks ago, thinner than I remembered. My wife laughing it off. My in-laws' texts full of smiling lies. "She's having fun," they said. I turned the knob. Before the vacation, my daughter called me every night, sometimes for a minute, sometimes just to breathe into the phone while she pretended to look for something in her room. She was 13 and already learning how to disappear quietly. The calls stopped on day 3. I asked my wife. She shrugged too quickly. "She's busy. You know how your parents are, always planning something." Her parents, not mine. I corrected her once. She didn't like that. When I called my in-laws, my mother-in-law answered on speaker. I could hear dishes, laughter, a television playing something cheerful. "She's right here," she said, then covered the phone. "Sweetie, say hi." Silence. Then a voice, flat, not my daughter's usual rhythm. "Hi, Dad." One word, no question, no warmth. I felt something detach inside me then, not break, detach, like a safety latch giving way. After that, the updates came without me asking. Photos, smiles staged too neatly. My daughter always at the edge of the frame, always looking slightly past the camera. I noticed my wife stopped mentioning her altogether. At night, I watched her sleep and counted the seconds between her breaths. I wondered when she had decided I didn't need to know everything anymore, or if she ever had. I didn't accuse. I never do. I waited. I pulled phone records, not hers, my wife's. Calls made late at night to a number saved under a florist's name. Same area code as my in-laws' neighborhood. I drove by their house once, parked down the street, watched a man I didn't recognize take out the trash. Tall, comfortable. He used their side gate like it belonged to him. I asked my daughter's school counselor how she'd been before the vacation. The counselor hesitated, then said, "Quieter than usual." Quieter is what adults say when a child stops trying. The grocery store note came 2 days later, slipped into my hand with change I didn't need. The stranger was already gone by the time I looked up. I didn't tell my wife. That was the hardest part. Acting normal, eating dinner, asking about her day, listening to her complain about her parents' stress. I packed a small bag and told her I had an early meeting. She kissed my cheek and said nothing else. The room at the end of the hall smelled like laundry detergent and fear. My daughter sat on the bed, knees pulled to her chest. Her hair was tangled. Her eyes lifted when she saw me, and something in her face collapsed. I crossed the room in 3 steps and knelt in front of her. "Hey," I said, just that. She didn't cry. She leaned forward and pressed her forehead into my shoulder like she'd been holding herself upright with pure will. Behind us, someone cleared their throat. I turned. My mother-in-law stood in the doorway, pale, her mouth opened, then closed. No script ready. "She was going to tell you," she said finally. I nodded once. "I know." I didn't raise my voice. I never do. I took out my phone and showed her the messages, the calls, the rental agreement for this house, signed by my wife's cousin, the therapy appointment receipts billed to my wife's card. "She told you I was unstable," my wife said when she arrived. Her eyes went to our daughter, then away. "She told you I wouldn't understand," I said. No one argued. I told my daughter to pack. She didn't hesitate. At the door, I turned back. "This was your plan," I said, "to fix her without me." My wife sank into a chair. My mother-in-law stared at the floor. I walked out with my daughter and didn't look back. The drive home was quiet. She slept with her head against the window, breathing deep for the first time in weeks. I felt empty, clean. Somewhere between Maple Street and our house, I understood something simple and final. Love doesn't hide. Protection doesn't require permission. When I pulled into the driveway, I turned off my phone. I don't need to hear their explanations. I already know the truth.